This is Black Box Podcast, presented by Harmonic Symphony Production, and we talk about everything popular. Before we begin, let us hear a little 2 minutes audio clip from a 2009 movie.
In cryo, you don't dream at all. Doesn't feel like 6 years. More like a fifth of tequila and an ass kicking.
Are we there yet? Yeah, we're there, sunshine. We're there.
You've been in cryo for 5 years, 9 months, and 22 days. You will be hungry. You will be weak. If you feel nausea, please use the sacks provided for your convenience. Staff thanks in advance.
Up ahead was Pandora. You grew up hearing about it, but I never figured I'd be going there.
Doctor 16, copy your all, Master Armand. Doctor 16, you are clear for deorbit burn at 2249er.
Copy, Venture Star. Go for deorbit burn at 2249.
Launching in the burn.
When James Cameron's Avatar starts, visual and sounds within 2 minutes tells us two things. First, that it is a science fiction movie. It shows us people awakening from a cryo sleep. We are immediately informed that they have been traveled for 5 years, 9 months, and 22 days. They have reached to Pandora, a moon to a gas giant planet, and various ships launches into Pandora's atmosphere, and the story begins. Second thing is the tone of those first few minutes and haunting music in the background, which tells us that this movie means seriousness. Jack is an outsider and he has a carefree attitude towards his surroundings because he has lost his legs and nothing more tragic can happen. But everyone else is serious. And this initial tone of seriousness actually hints at the subject matter of struggle between native Navis and humans. Humans who are trying to acquire resources on the Pandora. And it is a clear allegory to the colonialism and also to the white supremacy. Let's see how this native of Pandora are seen initially.
You are not in Kansas anymore. You are on Pandora, ladies and gentlemen. Respect that fact every second of every day. If there is a hell, you might want to go there for some R&R after a tour on Pandora. Out there beyond that fence, every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for jujubes. We have an indigenous population of humanoids called the Na'vi. They're fond of arrows dipped in a neurotoxin that'll stop your heart in 1 minute. And they have bones reinforced with naturally occurring carbon fiber. They are very hard to kill. As head of security, it is my job to keep you alive. I will not succeed. Not with all of you. If you wish to survive, you need to cultivate a strong mental attitude. You got to obey the rules. Pandora rules.
Pandora is seen as dangerous. Its nature is poisonous to humans. Its natives are enemy of humans. Fear. Colonel Quaritch uses psychology of fear to form an uniform opinion among humans stationed there. It is a simple way of seeing natives in terms of black and white. And of course, white is good when it is told by a white military colonel. Colonel Quaritch alone represents American military attitude, especially its occupation of Vietnam and Iraq. Dr. Grace represents altogether different attitude, that of a liberalist. She heads a program called Avatar, where they graft consciousness of human with genetically Na'vi human hybrids, which are called avatars. Their mission is to mingle with Na'vis and understand their culture in order to negotiate instead of force acquisition of unobtainium. It is set in year 2154 and Earth is having an energy crisis. RDA is after unobtainium and it wants it by any means. One of the interesting part of the movie is the Avatar program. Avatar program is the link between two species, the oppressed Na'vis and the oppressor humans. Avatar program reminds me of Macaulay's Minutes, where he sought to have Indian in appearance but English in thinking. That kind of race. That is what avatars literally are. They are Na'vi bodies but human consciousness, all for resources that little satellite called Pandora can offer. This name, Pandora, it comes from Greek figure Pandora, believed to be first human woman created by Hephaestus, but she opens jar of evils and accidentally releases them into the world. Her name means all gifted or all giving. This tells us about nature of Pandora, which is beautiful and has forest all over its surface. But it's not only colorful and rich in terms of resources. It also has malicious creatures and poisonous atmosphere. Now Jack finds freedom in his avatar form as his leg were injured and he couldn't walk. But as an avatar he is powerful again and his mission is to mingle with Na'vis and gather information about Na'vis and their gathering place, a home tree. It is a giant tree having unobtainium underneath it. Here it becomes a spy story where Jack and Grace, working from an outpost, tries to learn Na'vi ways, but ends up sympathizing with them. Especially when Jack falls in love with Neytiri, a Na'vi warrior princess. There is a kind of inward Stockholm syndrome which happens here, and Jack ends up trying to stop a bulldozer. That another video from his log makes it clear to Colonel Quaritch that Avatar program cannot help them. So he plans to attack the home tree. And that is pure visual reference to violence and cruelty done by colonial masters on natives. And haunting music makes one cry. Our heroes are defeated, and oppressors are preparing for a big attack. Hope is lost. Biosphere is disturbed. But Jack and his team escapes the main base and comes to the outpost to help Navis. They don't trust them anymore. So he captures biggest giant bird in the sky and rides it and becomes Taruk Moktu. This particular situation is interesting. They had one chance to gather up and fight humans, but they had to do it in leadership of an avatar who was neither fully human nor fully Navi. Grace, injured in the battle, dies. Tree of Souls, the all-gathering place of Navis and central of Pandora's neural network, is Colonel Quaritch's target. Eva, the mother nature of Pandora, is prayed and Jack urges her to intercede for Navis. It is one of the visually striking scenes which is symbolic to the rituals of native which were disliked and frowned upon by colonial masters. Battle begins. Navis are no match for human force and their weapons. But Jack's experience as a marine becomes useful as he uses military tactics against humans. So strategic violence of humans is answered in same language. Also creatures of Pandora joins the battle and soon bomber planes are destroyed before they can reach the target. Final fight between Quaritch in an AMP suit and Jack's avatar happens. And like a big showdown in every Bollywood Hollywood movie, it is thrilling. Quaritch is killed and human loses battle. Jack is injured, so Navi transfer his consciousness to his avatar body permanently. And they all make humans leave the Pandora, bearing few good ones. Jack becomes one of the Navi. He started as an outsider but becomes a part of it after the struggle, and thus ends one of the most popular movies of 21st century. So why this movie is so popular? I see three reasons: James Cameron, special effects, and movie's subject matter. James Cameron had become a very powerful director in 80s and 90s. His horror science fiction blend movies were iconic and popular also. Terminator, Terminator 2, Aliens, True Lies, etc. had already made him famous. Hollywood was taking up risk in terms of budget, and Cameron directed Titanic in 1997, which became not only popular with audience around the world but created a wave of disaster movies as it earned Oscars. Cameron became so powerful that any studio would have let him make his next project with whatever budget he wanted. But it did not happen. James Cameron did not make a movie for next 12 years. Instead, he devoted himself in film producing, in development of underwater remote vehicle technology, and 3D fusion camera was created by his help. He directed documentaries during this time, but not a single blockbuster feature film he was famous for. He had begun Avatar's script in 1995 but did not make it, as he did not see visual effect technology of the time good enough. So he first helped in creation of that technology, and later he could make it in 2009. This created a myth in Hollywood that Cameron was making a masterpiece, a director who waited for 12 years to create his vision. This was a marketing point no other movie could have. This publicity made everyone eager who had enjoyed Titanic in theaters or TV in last 12 years to see this new masterpiece by this director. That generation became regular moviegoers in those 12 years with the rise of multiple cinema chains, multiplexes across the world. And James Cameron himself had become a brand, a focal point of marketing strategy. This was one of the reasons why a movie made by him instantly became popular. Second thing was special effects and 3D technology. Many films had started using more and more special effects in early 2000. For example, Lord of the Rings. But Avatar show that a new way of using it can actually make films better. It uses advanced motion capture technology and blends it with 3D VFX and combines it with 3D fusion scenes. That is why it is one of those blockbuster movies which actually looks beautiful despite using thousands of CGI frames. Pandora's atmosphere looks natural. Who have seen movie in 3D or Blu-ray or HD even can actually understand this. The world created just on computer looks more real than our own world. In a way, it looks and feels like an alien world. Design of Na'vi is also interesting. They are different but have human expressions. Motion capture allows to capture every emotion of face of 10 feet long aliens, especially scenes where there is crying or anger is shown. This all was so new at the time that even after Avatar, one does not see blockbusters doing that much in terms of 3D and motion capture. It was so beautiful and colorful, and every blockbuster is made in hurry, which includes thousands of hours of VFX making. So they kind of look ugly. But Avatar had time to create what Cameron wanted. That's why Pandora's world feels alive. There is another factor to this. Cinematographer Mauro Fiore's work in movie is exceptional. His direction of photography mimics the emotions of the scene, and instead of fast editing, editors Ryukin Rifoa and Cameron himself lets audience stay in the scene for a while. My particular favorites are scenes which are using hyper zoom in shots to draw our attention, whether it be training scene or battle scene. This mimicking of zoom and pan technique in VFX also make it looks very real. This 3D VFX alone made it a worth watching experience, and thousands of people saw a movie in new 3D technology for the first time with Avatar. And this experience was so mesmerizing that studios started producing more 3D movies after that. But only few could come up to the bar set by Avatar in terms of 3D and VFX. As I mentioned before, subject matter is also thought-provoking. Colonialism and neo-colonialism are there. It also critiques modern military and puts it into contrast with harmonic ways of Navis. So in a way it critiques the modernism and modern ways of man. It takes up not only subjugation of one race on other or one species on other. It tells us how we are trying to subjugate nature itself and how our pollution can bite us back as shown in the last battle. It has a love story which is always popular. It focuses on Jack, who is an underdog and outsider, but becomes a leader, a charismatic leader, and Cameron takes up old age theme of good and evil to depict all this. Avatar is second highest grossing movies of all time and considered as modern masterpiece. There is of course a large number of population who dislikes it, but almost everybody has seen it because it is popular. That was our today's episode. Tell us whether you liked it or not to email address given in the description. We will see you in the next episode. Until then, have a good time.